All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the Author's Impact Hub. I'm super excited. I have another amazing author on with me today, Melanie Nichols, and I'm super excited to hear about her new project and the other amazing things that she has going on. So, Melanie, just introduce yourself. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and then the title of your book as well.
Sure. So first, thank you for inviting me. This is so exciting. I'm a first-time author, so this is really exciting to be able to share about this. I am by profession an organizational psychologist. I was in corporate for 20 years. About 120 days ago, I left corporate, and the first thing I did was write a book. So very excited to be here.
Yes, okay. So you have a lot of knowledge to share with us, definitely business owners, and then even just people in general. Organization is something that is a major key in being successful. So I can't wait to tap into that. So, can you provide a brief overview or description of your book and the main ideas behind the book?
So the says uh, reports out that it's that in order to achieve and sustain business outcomes, leaders must first do self work and they have to prepare themselves and then they apply what I call the infusion leadership model. I don't know if that's the title of the book yet, but that's the model in there. And they have to apply that to the business. So the self work that leaders start with starts with eradicating an unhealthy mindset about how the work gets done. In reality, being an infusive leader isn't complex, but it does require a mindset of intentionality and discipline.
Okay, awesome. I already can't wait to pick up a copy. So, what are, if you can talk about, what are the key concepts and principles that you hope readers will take away from reading your book? And I know you don't have a title yet, but can you break down some of what those key concepts are?
The key takeaway is that improving business outcomes requires a change within the leader. And there are steps that are applied to the self and then to the business. So the steps are the same, even if it's to yourself or to the business, but the steps are alignment, accountability, activation, and agility.
Okay, I'm jotting down notes because this is good for me. Yes, I love it. So I know you've mentioned business a few times. So who is the primary audience of your book? And then how do you envision it benefiting them?
So, yes, the primary audience is business leaders and aspiring business leaders. This works for organizations of any size. And I believe it will benefit them because transitory excellence and pockets of excellence are very common. So that's where we're getting outcomes that, don't stick with them in certain places, but not all the time. So what I talk about is sustainable excellence. That's not common. There's a tendency for business leaders to want to purchase a plug and play solution, but the answer to long-term success begins with their mindset.
Yes,
And then I'll add in that while the book is targeting business leaders, anyone can find accountability, activation, and agility to the personal lives and benefit.
yes, definitely. I always say like accountability is a really big thing. Personal accountability, right? It's so easy to look at other people and what they may need to change. But I think the biggest change I know that I've experienced in my own life is when I've taken personal accountability. I take account of what I need to change. Like, okay, this isn't working. And that's where I really see like the biggest growth for my life. So you think
I,
that this would apply to individuals as well?
Absolutely. And I think, from a business perspective, your employees and your team are watching you. And if you're not taking personal accountability first, they're not going to follow you and they're not going to take accountability.
Yes, definitely, right? We can apply that in a household, right? If our kids don't see us taking accountability, they're going to follow in our footsteps. I love that. So, what inspired you to write this book? Was there a particular moment or experience that sparked the idea?
Well, for as long as I can remember, I wanted to write a book. I enjoy communicating through written word. So it was actually the first activity that I wanted to take when I finally left corporate. Left and I said, I'm going to write a book. Um, and I actually got my business license, my LLC, after I'd even decided to write a book. So that was the first thing on my mind. The decision to leave corporate was probably the more impactful and, the aha moment. It was, I, um, I watched my dad lose his 18-month battle to cancer. And during that time, I watched him fighting so hard for the life that he loved. And I realized that I was just going through the motions in my life. And so the realization was just crushing for me. And I knew I needed to change the path I was on. So that was the
Mhm.
moment.
Oh, and I'm so sorry to hear
Mm.
about that. That's tough. I know there's not, I don't know what words can really comfort someone in grief, but I know that there is always a blessing in something. So you were able to take that moment as your inspiration to then do something different with your life. So I'm sure he would be absolutely proud of you.
I know he is.
Yes.
I know he's around and I know he's proud.
Yes, awesome. And that is what is important here. So, being a first time author and then leaving corporate America, I'm sure that is not easy. That is a leap of faith I have not taken yet. But I am drawing inspiration from our conversation here. So, what are some of the major challenges that you encounter while writing a book? And then how have you overcome those? Because you're still going through the process right now.
Yeah. So lots of challenges. The first is really the original concept that I had was really about coming right out of corporate. It was a how to. Here's my expertise and here's a how-to book. And it was really difficult for me to shift my thought process so that the book feels personal. Right? And so that was the first challenge for me is shifting how I was thinking about it. And instead of giving the reader all the answers, the book now invites the readers to have their own self-awareness. So that was a big challenge. The other one is that I'm an overthinker and I tend to start more things than I finish. So so to solve for all these things, I actually invested in a book coach and an editor. And so their ongoing feedback, from people that have been successful in the space of writing books has really helped me reframe my thinking. And they held me accountable to timelines and they made sure that I was focusing on progress and not perfection.
Yes, yes, that I love that. Well, I always recommend having a coach, right? Having people to be with you on that journey. They've already taken it. They know what to do. They know how to hold you accountable, especially if you share with them, this is what I want to accomplish, and you give them like this is what I want to see it done so they can help you see that through. So that's really great that you invested in that. You invested in yourself so that you can get the best outcome with your book.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd
Yes.
strongly encourage it.
Yes, definitely. So, how did you incorporate feedback into your writing? Were there any significant changes made based on feedback you received? I know you mentioned you have a book coach and also an editor, so it goes great with this question.
Yeah. So before I started writing, I actually did some research calls with peers. So said, here's my general topic, give me some feedback so that I can incorporate it. And I'm continuously asking friends, like, here's the thought, does this resonate? What do you think of this? And then I tapped into the coach and editor. And there have absolutely been significant changes. Like I mentioned, me getting out what I wanted to say and then reframing it was challenging. So honestly, I think I've written the book about 6 times. Um, and it's a short book. It's like, 50 pages or something, but I rewrote it 6 times. And then when I turned in what I thought was my quote unquote final manuscript, uh, my book coach said, nope, that doesn't land. So there was another significant rewrite. But where my book started and where it landed, light years apart. Not in the information I wanted to share, but in how I told the story. And I definitely couldn't have done that without feedback.
Yes, definitely. And don't fret. That is really normal to rewrite. I always say I feel like I read my books probably 100 times. So you get tired of reading it, but you want to make sure that you're putting out your absolute best so that it can make the impact that it's supposed to make with your audience.
When you said that, when you said tired of reading it, I never expected to read my book as many times as I have. Like There's a lot of I'm like, and I find myself skipping stuff because I know what I'm gonna say, and you have to be very
Right.
intentional with making sure you read it carefully.
Yes, definitely, definitely. But you're going through the process, so you're learning, so you'll be able to help somebody when it's time for them to write their book. So
Mhm.
that's what I love this about reading and being able to write. So, how do you envision your book influencing leadership practices globally? And what changes do you hope to see?
Globally. So I think the concept of leaders setting the tone for organizational culture, that's universal. In the book, there's stories though that I'm not sure how they resonate outside of the US. I do happen to have a global client though, and so I'm not marketing it to them yet, but I am going to share it with them and see how it resonates with them. Certainly, that idea that leaders have a responsibility and accountability to own that culture in which the employee exists in, is universal.
Definitely. I can really see your book hitting like the top corporate companies in America just based off of you're really well versed. You sound very confident in what your book is going to present. So I know I can't wait to get a copy for myself. So I know that the book is not released yet. But what feedback have you gotten from your peers after sharing, some of your book and the questions that you've asked them?
All of the feedback has been positive. So everybody has been encouraging, they're curious, they're excited for me. So I haven't had any negative feedback at all. Everybody is excited and supportive. And the intent is not to make a bunch of money off of it. People are saying, "Oh, I'll buy your book." The intent is really to help people have that self-awareness and that change. So we changed the industry. And I think that's great that people are excited about it and want to buy it because I hope that it resonates with them.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, I'm really big on accountability. So when you said that, I'm like, okay, I know that book is for me. Definitely. So, what long-term changes, and you did kind of touch on that, what long-term changes do you hope your book will inspire in individuals, teams, and organizations?
Absolutely. So thank you for this because this is really near and dear. This is my purpose. This is my why I'm confident in why I'm doing it is because the long-term vision is to increase the number of infusive leaders in the workplace. And that's because I firmly believe that the workplace environment and the experiences that employees have in that workplace environment transcends those business walls and it impacts employees' personal lives. And by association, it impacts the communities in which those employees live. So I believe every employee deserves a workplace that they feel great about. And they take that home and they take that feeling into their community.
Yes, definitely. I love that. So, how has writing this book influenced your own perspectives on leadership and personal development?
So with all the authenticity, I've had to be far more vulnerable than I expected in this writing process. Again, going from a how to inviting people in. So I had to tell my own personal story. And in that process of reflecting and uncovering and sharing that story, the book actually stretched me to new levels of personal development. And this is coming from somebody who my work has been about personal development in the business space. So it really stretched me. It's been transformative for me on a personal level. And then from a leadership perspective, getting my thoughts and organizing them and putting them on paper really reinforce that anyone can be an infusive leader and that every employee deserves that.
Yes, I love that. So, one thing you mentioned, this was your purpose, right? Your purpose will really push you out of your comfort zone. It really will push you out of your comfort zone. And it sounds like it has done that for you. So, is there any advice that you would give to aspiring authors who are looking to write their own books, particularly on complex topics like leadership?
Yes, there is. Um, I found it far more challenging than I expected and more fulfilling than I could have anticipated. So I'll just put that at the outset, and I would say high level, go for it. If you aspire to be an author, go for it. And then I'll give you some practical tips here, about 6 tips. Take bold action because there is an audience who will benefit from your expertise. Find an accountability partner who can help you hit those deadlines and help you let go of perfection. Well, the goal of the book, I know that if I had better understood how the book fits into my business, if I'd done that out at the outset, we could have avoided some of the rewrites. Um, Make your goal visible and review it often so you don't get discouraged when there's obstacles, and there will be obstacles. And I remember my book coach telling me that in the beginning. I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm all on board. There's obstacles. Don't go it alone. Surround yourself with the support and resources you need to be successful, and embrace the emotional ups and downs of the writing process. There may be tears. There was certainly a lot of tears for me, but it's all part of the journey. And I would just leave you with have fun and you've got this.
Yes, all of those are amazing tips. So please share, make sure you share those. After your book is out there, share those tips because so many authors can benefit, aspiring authors can benefit from hearing those tips. I know that if this is something that you are gifted to do, like you said, if it's your purpose, just go for it. It does not have to be perfect, right? I think sometimes we wait for things to be perfect before we take that leap of faith, and that's not always the best decision to make. So,
Absolutely. Just step in there and hold
yes.
yourself accountable to getting it done. And what I've learned is there's probably other books in my future,
Mhm.
and I can share that stuff later, and I'm learning, and I don't expect this first book to be perfect. I'm gonna get it out there. I'm gonna
Yes.
check it off my bucket list and continue to learn and grow from it.
Yes, and you will definitely grow from it. So you did mention there are other future projects or books. Is there something that you're able to share, or do we just need to make sure we connect with you on social media to keep up with what's next?
Well, I have to be cautious because I need to make sure that I don't just focus too much on writing more books because I'm enjoying it so much. So
Yes.
I'm gonna pause and I gotta focus on my business for a little bit. But I think there are one of the reasons I had to rewrite the book multiple times is because I tried to put too much in the book.
Okay.
And so I was trying to put all of my fancy knowledge in there. And it's like, okay, these are other things to talk
Yeah.
about. So it all is about organizational culture and the infusion leadership model, but there's different kind of avenues and different doors people can take to understand it. So those are some of my ideas for
Okay.
books, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be connected with you. I'm all about, like I said, accountability. So share with us, how can we connect with you on social media so that we can um, know when your book is being released and then also some of the other things that you have going on?
So I use LinkedIn primarily, and you can find me under Melanie Nichols. And in parentheses, it's gonna have my married name, which is Deyle, Deyle, and that's the same name you can find me under Facebook. You can also follow my business, which is Ripple Effect Culture. And I've got a website, rippleeffectculture.com.
Awesome. Yeah, so I will also make sure that I share that in the show notes. And then when we share this on social media. So do you have an anticipated date of release?
First week in August.
First week in August.
And that
Okay.
will be the published date. One of the other things that I've learned through this process is published date is just a date. There's also a book launch.
Yeah.
So, which I didn't realize that I had to plan for. So there's a book launch and then the published date is August 1st. And I don't know what day I'll do my official book launch, but it'll be on Amazon on August 1st.
Awesome. Well, I am excited. We'll make sure that we stay connected with you. And then definitely we'll have to get you back on the Authors Impact Hub podcast to talk more things, organization, accountability. I think it's a necessary conversation, especially for authors, aspiring writers, right? You do need to have some sort of accountability, right? When you're going through any project and also being organized. So I think you have some amazing tips that will be really helpful to those who are trying to just get the idea out of their head to start the book. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for the connection. And then I just wanted to one last question. What does it mean to you to make an impact? And how do you hope your book makes an impact
What does it mean to make an impact? That somebody has a moment where they realize that their life can be better, different, that they can accomplish more, that they can reach their dreams or aspire for something that they've been hoping for. I think that's impact when the individual, and of course, if they take it to their business and it impacts more people, all the better. But if somebody resonates with something and it inspires them to take action, that would be impact for me.
Definitely. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Melanie, for joining. I have enjoyed this conversation. Keep writing, keep making an impact. I'm sure your book will do amazing. I can't wait to get a copy. And make sure, everyone, that you please go and connect with Melanie if you are thinking about starting a business or you have a business. You want this book. It can touch you even individually. So we want to make sure that we make the impact that we need to make on all the lives that we touch.
And I want to celebrate and support anyone who's reading a book. So connect with me and let me know how I can support you, and let's celebrate together as you go on this journey.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of the Authors Impact Hub, where writers connect, inspire, and transform. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.